What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our NFL draft coverage continues with a positional breakdown on arguably the best position in the draft. That is the cornerback position. To help me break it down, the man, the myth, the legend of SB Nation. He is Mark Schofield. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mark Schofield. What's up, Mark?
What's going on, Crocky? Yeah, you're right. Look, this position group is tremendous. Mel Kiper Jr. said we're doing this on Thursday the 23rd. In case any news breaks before this goes live or whatever. But he said this week that, look, he's got like 35 that he could see playing in the NFL. I mean, look at NFL mock draft database. I think you've got, and, you know, mock drafts are what they are. But you've got 6 that are going in the first round, another 2 or 3 that are on the cusp of the first round. It wouldn't surprise me if you end up getting 6, 7, maybe 8. In the first round. Like it's a really, really deep class. And it's one of those position groups that, like, the more you watch, the more you want to watch more players. Like I tried to limit to my watch list for this show was like 16, but I could probably go a lot deeper than that. It's a really, really good group.
Yeah, if I had a crystal ball, I would expect a short, quick run on quarterbacks to start the draft, then some edge rushers, and then just the first and second round littered with corners in this thing. So let's get started here. And I want to hear Mark Schofield's quick ranking of the top 3 cornerback prospects in this draft.
Yeah, so I'll start at 3. Devon Witherspoon, the Illinois kid. Very talented, very physical. I love the way he plays the game. Got like a hard nose and edge to him. Sometimes he's a little bit too aggressive, I'd say. Like, you know, studying him, you can see him Northwestern, Michigan, Purdue. Like, there are moments when he just flies downhill and sometimes runs by plays. Like, there was a play against Northwestern where it's a bubble screen to his side. He comes downhill like he's shot out of a cannon, but overruns it. Yeah. And, you know, I want to see him tone it back a little bit. I think he can, but, you know, still a very good corner. Love the way he plays the position, you know, very physical, drives downhill. He's very disruptive at the catch point. They used him. What I liked about watching the Purdue game, Purdue really, you know, they had Jones, the receiver, but they really liked their tight end as well. And there was a 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter of that game where they took Witherspoon, put him inside on the tight end. He got matched against him. They tried to sign like a verticals with a shallow to try to run him off and create space. He didn't give up a yard after the catch. Just love that play. So he's number 3. Joey Porter Jr. is number 2.
Nice.
I really was impressed with him. And I think part of the reason why I really am excited about him is what he showed from last year. Because, you know, early mock drafts last year was like, yeah, he's going to be great. Kind of tapered off a little bit. So when you had him in the early first round of this year's early, you know, mock drafts, people were like, did you watch him last year? It wasn't great. He was really good this year. Showed some ball skills. Very good against, you know, outside moves, double moves. Very technically sound, I'd say. There was, again, watching Purdue, forces an outside release on a play, but receiver tries to run the dig, has a change of direction and hip fluidity to change direction quickly, get under the dig, be disruptive. So I like him. He's CB2. CB1 for me is Christian Gonzalez, the kid from Oregon. He's tremendous. I actually talked to somebody at a Pac-12 school that, you know, coached against him. It was basically just take him and thrive. Like, he's an absolute freak. He was a safety in high school, you know, really didn't play until a corner until as a true freshman in 2020. So he's still learning the position. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but he's my CB1.
Love it, man. Where does Emmanuel Forbes rank in your rankings? Because, like, when it comes to production and playmaking, like, I don't understand why this guy is off some big boards, especially first round big boards.
Yeah, he's inside the first round for me. Like
Okay.
he's CB5 for me. I've
Okay.
got behind Cam Smith and ahead of a guy that I think we're going to talk about in a little bit,
Okay.
Keely Ringo. But to me, he's a first round player. You know, like you said, the production is there. 6 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. You know, athletic, tall, very competitive, fights at the catch point, which I love because, you know, when you can make 50-50 balls, 60-40, 70-30 in your favor, that's huge, particularly at the next level. I think he could play outside day one, probably as like a CB2, and eventually he'd grow into a CB1. So I really like him.
Yeah, he just needs to gain weight a little bit, but he plays like a wide receiver in the backfield, man. He's awesome. All right, let's jump right in here. Mark, who is the cornerback prospect with the most upside in the draft?
I mean, it's a cop out because I did it last week too. But Gonzalez, interestingly enough, I think has the most because he's still learning the position. And what's fascinating watching him is you can see on film that there are moments where he's just reacted. He's not really reading stuff. He's not like really fully reading concepts yet consistently. There are moments when he does it. He had an interception against Colorado on a vertical wheel concept where he's in outside third zone coverage. He's sticking on the vertical. They throw the wheel to the outside and he reads it and flips the hips and breaks on it. But it's more, he's reactive right now. He's not reading stuff out fully and getting ahead of it with his mind. Once he adds that, sky's the limit for him. You know, obviously, look, there are other guys in this class that have potential. Some of the, I've got 2 day 3 guys that I want to talk about that I think have some untapped potential as well. But I think he can be a true lockdown corner at the next level. He's got room to grow.
Love it. Next up, who is the most underrated cornerback prospect in the draft?
It's weird because his mocks are all over the place, and I think he's starting to tick up a little bit. But DJ Turner from Michigan.
Interesting.
Watching him the past couple of years, seeing how Michigan used him inside, used him outside, moved him all over the place. You've even got reps and examples of him, you know, outside quarters, outside third, sometimes as a half field safety. Very versatile defender. I love versatility in cornerbacks. You know, maybe it's part of my Bill Belichick, New England Patriots upbringing, but when you can draft a corner, play him inside, play him outside, use him as a safety at times, move him all over the place. That's very impressive to me. And he's also, you know, watching him against Purdue was a very good game. I think the game that impressed me perhaps the most was, interestingly enough, Ohio State, because he had Marvin Harrison a lot. Harrison did get some catches against him, but one of those, there's a 31 back shoulder early in the game. He's in perfect position, Crocky, like absolutely draped on him. And it just takes a perfect throw and a perfect catch. Like 9 times out of 10, that's a pass breakup. It's 4th and 1. The punt team's coming on the field. So I'm very excited about him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's somehow is one of those that like sneaks into the first round. And we've seen this recently, right? I mean, we saw, you know, I think it was last year when the Bengals drafted a similar player at the end of the first round, and I'm just blanking on who it is right now. But it was a corner from Michigan. Why can I not? Where is it? Daxton Hill.
Yeah, Daxton Hill.
Very similar type of player, like mostly a safety slot corner type, but a versatile defender. He snuck into the end of the first round. Wouldn't surprise me to see Turner have a similar sort of rise, you know, into the end of the first round.
Yeah, the combine was my first like chance to say, wow, who is DJ Turner? Because I've been covering corners for a long time, and I don't know how this guy flew under the radar, but that's a great selection.
Yeah, I mean, when I was, you know, obviously studying Stroud, starting to think of the college football playoff games, you know, studying Michigan, getting ready for their game against TCU, I was very impressed with him, watching him all season long. And then so I started digging into him from last season. I really like him.
Love it. Before we get to our last question on day 3, guys, I want to talk to you real quickly about Keely Ringo, a cornerback prospect, elite athlete that's kind of been polarizing the last couple of months. But I think the last few weeks, we've had a lot of discussions on whether or not his best fit at the next level is at the safety position. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, because it's interesting, Crocky. With his athletic profile, you'd expect him to be like elite man coverage corner. and it just hasn't quite clicked. You almost get the sense that he's best in like zone coverage schemes, sort of breaking downhill on things, sort of reading and reacting to things. I think there are moments where you'd like to sort of see more from him. He's sometimes late with his eyes, late with his reads, and he just then has to sort of rely on that athleticism to make up the gap, which might be why you're hearing some people say, let him be a safety, where he's got a little bit more time to sort of read and react to things, read stuff out. I still think he's a good potential corner at the next level, but it might be more of a, ideal fit in a zone system to start, where you're going to be playing more zone coverage, more off coverage, let him sort of react to things a little bit more, try to read things out a little bit better. He might be more of a tricky scheme fit at the start of his career with time to sort of develop and round out his entire game. I still think, look, he's a former 5-star recruit. He's a great athlete. Like, he's going to get drafted, probably sneaks into the first round, if not early second, just because of that athletic profile and the potential. I would still try him a corner. I think he's probably more of a scheme-specific type of corner to start. Then if it doesn't, he could potentially make the switch to safety down the road, but I think he's still a corner to start. It's just a scheme-specific situation.
Is that a negative to most NFL teams? Because, like, when I look at that, I see positional versatility, especially the way the NFL is these days,
Yeah, I think it's a positive. I mean, again, with the stuff that I said earlier about Turner, where, versatility and the ability to do, different things. But with Turner, with Daxton Hill, you've got proof of concept. You've got examples of them.
Yeah.
With Ringo, it's more like he's been at corner, and you're projecting, okay, that trait basis, what he's done on film could work at corner, but you don't really have that proof of concept. So it's not the plus, or it's not as much of a plus that it is with other guys that have shown you, yeah, you can kick me inside. Yeah, you can kick me outside. Yeah, I can play split field, in a safety alignment. I can play off. I can play quarters. I could do it all. With Ringo, it's like, look, I've been a boundary corner for the bulk of my college career, bulk of my high school career. I could probably play safety, but you haven't really seen it as much.
Yep. All right, Mark. Who is a day 3 cornerback prospect that's not being talked about enough?
I mean, they're probably getting a lot of juice now because of what they did at the combine, but Riley Moss, Julius Brent.
Nice. Yes.
Moss from Iowa, Brent's from Kansas State. Before we just had the safety discussion, right? Riley Moss pre-combine, people were like, this kid's probably a safety at the next level. He's doesn't seem that athletic. And then absolutely blows up the combine. I mean, I'm pulling up his RAS right now, but you're talking about somebody that ran, 4.4, with a 39-inch vertical, almost an 11-inch broad, like an elite athlete of the combine. So you dig back into his film and you see flashes where it's like, yeah, this kid's got something. He had an interception against, I think it was Minnesota off of a tip. No, it was Wisconsin, where he's in zone coverage. The pass goes behind him, but he somehow spins around, tracks it down, it gets tips, and he makes this dive-in interception. Incredibly athletic play. There was an interception that they had against Minnesota where he didn't make the pick, but he's playing off. It's an under route, drives downhill on it, gets the explosive, break on the ball downhill, disruptive with the catch point tip, interception. So you combine that athleticism with some of the traits. There's potential there. And then Brent's like similar situation, right? Goes to the combine, blows it up, 4.5, which is a little bit slower, but 41.5-inch vertical, 11 plus broad, absolutely explosive athlete. You turn on the film, what do you see? You see him playing both man coverage extremely well against Quentin Johnston. There was a play where he had an interception on a vertical route in the red zone in the conference championship game. Goes chest to chest on the back shoulder, makes the play. You see him in zone coverage. He had an interception against Texas Tech where it's a switch concept. He's on the outside vertical. They throw inside on a curl, and he peels off, drives under it, has that explosive ability to get under it and make the interception. So those two guys right now are still sort of trending, I've seen since the combine, I'm looking at Brent's now. He's skyrocketed up. But those guys were more day 3 guys that I think the conversation has flipped a little bit.
Love it, man. That is Mark Schofield. Mark, where can we find you, man? final thoughts on this class. Oh, I have one more question. I want to make this a real thing now. In 5 years, the best cornerback out of the 2023 NFL draft will be?
I think it's Gonzalez, just because of the potential and the room for growth. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's Joey Porter Jr. I
Okay.
mean, he's the last year to this year, the growth and development that he showed, that tells me like, look, he's on a very good track. Gonzalez, I think he has the higher ceiling, but might take a little bit more to get there. But I think both of those guys are going to be very good corners in the league for a long time.
Absolutely, man. Where can we find you, man? What do you got going on?
Right there at Mark Schofield on the Bird app. I'm doing the pointing right. So we're doing this, like I said, on Thursday, the 23rd. I put a deep dive on Christian Gonzalez up on SBNation.com today that people can read. My favorite play of his is a play against UCLA where he's running 5 Cougar, which is a nasty, nasty concept where you're an outside corner, you make that man turn, you show your back to the quarterback, but you look inside over your inside shoulder and read the release of the slot receiver. And if he breaks out, you trap him. And if you're a quarterback, you see that, outside corner running away from you with your back to the guy, you're going to throw that speed out to the flat. You get baited into it. He lights up the tight end. So I've got a big breakdown on that piece, playing more in that piece. We're going to be doing a lot of draft stuff over the next couple of weeks at SB Nation. Community-wide, we're doing a community mock draft, which, the site managers are doing. So that's going to be fun. So it's all at sbnation.com, my friend.
All right. The best of the best right there. Mark Schofield. We are doing these draft series every Thursday. Not sure what we'll do next week, but go check out our quarterback positional breakdown from last week. That, again, at Mark Schofield on Twitter. Mark, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.